Good day to you all. Welcome back to the channel. If you've already seen our previous video about the basics of photogrammetry, you know what this is all about. For those who are new, get ready because today we're going to talk about the tools that help us bring the real world into 3D. Disclaimer: before we continue, I want to make something very clear. This video is not sponsored by any of the brands we're going to mention. The equipment I'll be showing you is what I personally use and has given me good results. The goal of this video isn't for you to rush out and spend your money. On the contrary, the idea is to show you options that can work well and, perhaps, prevent you from overspending by trying less effective alternatives. So, take this as a recommendation based on my experience, but the final decision is always yours. Alright. Now that we've made the basics and the intention of this video clear, let's move forward. In this second part, we're going to fully immerse ourselves in the heart of photogrammetry. I'm going to introduce you to the specific tools I use to capture the magic of the real world and turn it into amazing 3D models. Okay, now we're going to meet the main star of our scanning setup. In my case, the chosen one is the Canon EOS R50. For many who want to make the leap to more professional photography, this is often one of the most interesting entry-level options. It offers a good balance between a performance and price, although economical is a relative term in this world, right? Now we'll talk about our lens. For the lens, we'll be using the Canon RF 24-50mm, a lens that gives us a decent wide angle and enough focus area for the object we're photographing. Personally, out of all my lenses, this is the one I use the most, and it's sufficient for this type of project. Importantly, if you're going to scan smaller things like insects or small seeds, then I recommend a telephoto lens like the Canon RF 100mm macro, which will allow you to have a close-up with a lot of detail. I personally don't use it much since the 24-50mm covers a wide enough field of work for me, and I practically use it for all types of scans. So for starters, we'll use this lens. I'll leave the price up to your evaluation, and once again, you can choose its equivalent in other brands, and the result will be practically the same. You just need to search among the most reliable brands on the market and choose the one that best suits your needs. Now we'll talk about the emitters. To trigger the flashlight, we'll be using the Godox X2 TC emitter, a device that connects to the camera, and with it we can control the lights of our photography setup, or in our case, just the ring light. Interestingly, the Canon EOS R50 changed its input in this model, so we'll have to use an adapter to connect the Godox emitter to the Canon camera, and that's how its structure would look. With the Godox brand, you can find a wide variety of more economical emitters and lights, but after searching through all of them, these accessories were the ones that best suited my needs, and I recommend them to you after having already used them in several projects. They are easy to install and get running. Once again, you are free to choose the emitters and lights that you deem appropriate. And over here we have the Godox AR400, the light we'll be using for our projects, with its mount to assemble the camera with its accessories, the tripod which will support all the weight of the equipment, and finally our polarizing filter for the Godox light. Keep in mind that on their own, all this equipment is light, but once assembled, it will be uncomfortable to finish a photo session carrying all of this in our hands, which is why it's recommended to have a good tripod that supports all that weight for us, avoiding injuries to our wrists and shoulders. About the Godox light, I already mentioned something in the previous video. It's special for the type of work we'll be doing, due to its power and in general due to its own design, as it has just enough space for the lens to pass through it and provide the flattest possible illumination. In the world of photography, this would be totally undesirable, but in photogrammetry, it's a real glory. I don't know if it was created with this intention precisely, but the reality is that they are very much in demand by the industry, especially for this type of work. For the polarizing filter, we have this one. After many searches, I ended up choosing this brand because, curiously, it was the most economical in my case, and on the other hand, the most robust in terms of construction. Keep in mind that nowadays, if you have a friend who makes prototypes in 3D printing, you can make this type of filter yourself, and there are websites that provide the 3D models ready to print completely free, so you can make the support for the polarizing filter yourself. And that's exactly what we have here. Some guys developed their own prototype and are already selling it assembled with its filter. In the case of the filters, finally, all that's left are the polarizing filters for the lenses. You should know that each lens can have a different diameter. Therefore, the polarizing filter we choose has to match the diameter of our camera lens. And with this, we conclude the presentation of the equipment we'll need to do photogrammetry professionally. Now, we'll see all our equipment assembled. And tell me, what do you think? Would you dare to go on an excursion with all this in your hands? The goal of this series of tutorials is for us to first learn how to do proper photogrammetry indoors in a controlled environment, and then, when we master the technique, take the step to outdoor photogrammetry. Something that we can of course do with our equipment. And that's not all. So that you can follow this tutorial to the letter and experiment for yourselves, I want to remind you that in the blog section of my channel, you can already download all the content of this series of tutorials. That's right. You'll have access to support material that you can freely use to practice your own captures. The idea is that you can reconstruct this 3D model without needing to invest a single penny in expensive photography equipment or accessories. In our next tutorial, we'll have our last theoretical class. We'll learn how to organize a small photography setup using elements that you surely have at home. And to make everything super clear, we'll see in a virtual environment what the correct and ideal way to take those photographs we've been discussing today would be. So you can't miss it. And that's been all for today. Future 3D Masters, if you made it to this point in the video, I truly appreciate you sticking around until the end. I know this has been the most technical video in this series, but we did it. We covered all the essentials in a single installment. So in the next videos, get ready to see how those flat photographs start to gain volume and transform into 3D objects. If you're enjoying this series of tutorials and finding it useful, I invite you to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next videos. Leave me a like if the information helped you, and a comment telling me which equipment you saw today you already have at home and which you would definitely never buy. Greetings to all, and have a happy day.